AITA for calling my friend out on changing her adopted daughter's name. An old high school friend of mine, Maya, recently finalized her adoption of a Pakistani-American child, 7F, and reached out to me as I'm of a similar background to ask for help connecting with the girl, as she's been withdrawn and generally refusing to connect with her new family. I offered to meet up for a socially distanced visit in the park and she agreed. The girl opened up to me very quickly and introduced herself to me by a common Pakistani name. Let's say Zainab. This surprised me because my friend had been referring to her as Jessica in all our previous conversations. I asked Zainab about how she feels about being adopted and she basically said my friend was always bothering her. She missed her grandma and she didn't like her new brother. She then said she doesn't like the new name her new mom uses for her. I saw this in person because she would adamantly refuse to answer to my friend whenever she would call her Jessica. I took my friend aside to express my concerns and ask why she changed the name. Her reasoning was Zainab's original name was too difficult to pronounce, didn't match her new surname, and she wanted a fresh start for all of them as a family. I called her out on this, saying this wasn't a dog she'd picked up. This was a human child who had 7 years of history with her name and was clearly against the change. Furthermore, I pointed out changing her ethnic name to an Anglo one for convenience made no sense when her own last name is a complicated Polish one and arguably harder to pronounce. I basically ended the conversation saying she was going about this all wrong by alienating her new daughter and whitewashing her heritage. I suggested she reach out to adoptee support groups to talk to about transracial adoption. Well, after this Maya blew up, accusing me of calling her a racist and trying to create problems in her and Zainab's relationship. She dragged her daughter away and hasn't responded to any of my messages since. She has been vague booking about this though. TLDR. Friend changed adoptee daughter's ethnic name to an Anglo one and didn't like being called out. Edit. Thank you everyone for all your comments. I think I will try reaching out to Maya again, maybe apologize for how I worded my worries and try to get her to see where I'm coming from. If that doesn't work, I'll try contacting the adoption agency with my concerns. NTA. I believe most adoption agencies recommend not changing the name of a child over 2 years of age for this very reason. All your friend is doing is making sure there will be no bond. As soon as this child can legally leave, she will without looking back. When Maya asked you for help connecting with her daughter, what she really wanted you to do was fix her daughter so she would conform. Instead, you did something that Maya obviously hasn't. You listened to her daughter and gave Maya advice on steps she could take to build a relationship. NTA. NTA. Your friend took away the one thing this little girl had. Her name. This is terrible. She needs to wake up and smell the coffee, or this girl is going to hit teenage years and explode. If she doesn't like Pakistani names, then she shouldn't adopt a Pakistani child. Or at least not one old enough to be attached to their name. Also, even if we accepted the premise of changing the name, which I don't, why the hell wouldn't they consult the child? There are probably anglicized names which are much closer in sound to her original name. And there might be an Anglic name she liked. NTA. NTA. I think it's terrible to think you can rename a 7-year-old against their will. Poor kid. NTA. If she was 4 months old, this would be a different story. She's 7. She still calls herself by her old name. This is super unhealthy. You're right. She's not a dog. And you know what? Even when we adopted a dog, we kept his name. Her reasoning was Zainab's original name was too difficult to pronounce. Didn't match her new surname, and she wanted a fresh start for all of them as a family. Speaking as the half-Indian child of an English mother, people are going to notice her child as a different ethnicity. NTA. NTA. She asked you for help. You found the problem was her taking away her child's name. Not sure if you immediately went to the dog reference. But if you did, it could have been done in a less cutting way. Her digging her heels in here is concerning. She's not seeing what's best for her child. NTA. With the context you provided, her name change sounds more like a rebranding tactic from a mother who did not want a child from another ethnicity. Zainab isn't a blank canvas. She is already someone. Absolutely. NTA. I said the same thing when my brother was adopted and he was much younger. Parents were thinking of changing his name and I said, he's not a dog. NTA. She asked you for help and didn't like the advice she was given to stop treating her child like a rehomed pet. A friend of mine adopted a 1-year-old and didn't change the name because the child was clearly attached to it. NTA. But Maya. Maya? Maya? Mia? Ma? Mayo? F it. Just call her Ethel. I had a cousin, Paul, whose mother changed his name to Ringo when he was 4. Because her new husband was named Ringo and he demanded the name change so he would have a son named after him. Yeah. So that marriage worked out much as one would expect. Spoiler. Abuse issues of all kinds. Shocking. Poor Paul. I still think of him as that sometimes. He could have changed his name back when stepdad left. But that was many years later and it just seemed overwhelming to him. Plus his mom said it would make her feel like she did something wrong and make her feel bad. NTA. She ducked up from the start. You can't just change a 7-year-old child's name. They are 3 years shy of their first life decade. Especially when it's involuntary. And at what point did you bring race into it? The fact that that's her first instinct to go to means somewhere in her there is some racism. She assumed that the child she picked was going to just jump to be only American. She is not. She is Pakistani American with a proper name given to her by her family and she still has members of it left. Your friend needs to realize, as you said, a child is not a puppy. Nor is she a dolly. You don't get to relabel her to suit your unnecessary needs. It's too hard. Quote. Oh, shut up. You have a Polish last name. Can't nobody ready that? You probably can't even read that. And I'm willing to be it's been modified so that it can read by your fellow Americans. Shut your whole face up. You want to take a child with proper housing and memories of her life before you with a pretty, established and cemented self-identity. And demand she be okay with you completely erasing all of it in one go because you convinced yourself that it would be better if she lived the YT life like you want her to. Let's just myth bust you real quick. 1. Her name is never going to be Jessica. She ain't basic, so don't ask her to be. 2. She will never be white. Stop trying to treat her like she is. Stop if you cannot accept the diversity of an ethnic child. You don't need to branch out. Stay in your Jessica lane. We'll edit if necessary. NTA. Adopted kids have enough stress on their own. Being pulled or disconnected from their original home and family. Suddenly being in a new home where mommy and daddy are expected words from a child who barely knows them. Heritage is all some of these poor kids have left. It sounds like your friend is trying to mold the girl into an image of what she wanted, and that's only going to put that child's mental health in danger, which could lead to physical danger. The dog comparison is absolutely perfect, and I'm the guy that wouldn't even change a dog's name on them because I worry about how it would affect them. A human child with far more complex connections would have more time to their name, and the effect can be devastating. One optional compromise would be using a part of her first name as a shorthand, with the child's consent and input. I don't care how old they should have a say. Z or Zane for short could be a compromise that doesn't remove the girl's name connections. Honestly, don't think your friend is ready for a kid, let alone adopting one. This is a flag to me that there could be further problems that she is incapable of handling. NTA. Thank you for advocating for this kid who is in a new environment without much power. Your friend is going to need to face the realities of race and ethnicity if she wants to be a good parent for this kid. If you have the bandwidth, helping her understand more about race in America and being Pakistani American will benefit this kid, and this kid sounds like they could use someone from a similar background in their life. NTA. She obviously came to you for help because she knew you would be able to connect a little better with her, and that you did. Now, she's refusing the help she asked for because it wasn't to her liking. She wants there to be something wrong with the kid, and not herself. This is not good news, and I feel really bad for the little girl who was plucked from her grandmother and is now being whitewashed. It's not fair to her, and it's only going to cause resentment. NTA. She asked for your help and you gave it. It's too bad she didn't want to listen. Get in contact with some form of child services and have the girl taken away. Your friend is pretty racist even if they don't realize it, and they're treating this girl as if she's a dog by changing both her first and last names. NTA. Your friend is racist. NTA. As a Pakistani with a difficult to pronounce name, I feel awful for this poor little girl. Maya is being a real word that will get me banned.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.